Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to comment on this excellent document you have produced. Congratulations. Very well done. My analysis will be not as thorough and well thought out as Alistair's was, so I will be much more on the surface. What I'm going to do is to guide you a little bit through the activities of my institution and try to connect what we do to what you propose in your vision document. We are not the policymakers in Commission. Yes, we are part of Commission, but we do real laboratory-based research in our institution. This is what we try to do, to establish a common and reliable system for measurements that can be used throughout Europe and that underpin the whole policy cycle. So starting from the first thoughts about do we need a policy till yes, now we have a policy, now we need to implement it. How can we do that? How can we support this? That's the Institute, and I'm pretty sure many of you have never heard about JRC, about the Joint Research Center, so a few words about that. What you see here is in principle a nuclear installation. Yes, we do have, as the whole JRC, we do have a nuclear heritage, but yeah, in the 60s when nukes were not so prominent on the agenda, we had to look for other opportunities. This where we are active, you see food safety and quality is one of the areas. And now let me recall this text. It's not that new. In many cases, food security and food safety are pictured as some contrasting things, which is not the case. I mean, having access to enough food that is not safe doesn't make any sense. So food security and food safety are like a medal. Yeah? The two sides of a medal. But by the way, every good medal has more than two sides. Another story. Well, we have seen that very often. Today, it was highlighted, we do have our food scandals, we do have our food scares. Shattering the trust of consumers in the food they eat and ruining the reputation of the food industry. And in particular, we are concerned about the European food industry. So we need to do something. You have seen much more elaborate pictures about how a food chain, probably we should say a food web, looks like. Now, my thought is, if we, and that's in your document, in a true systems approach, in a systems analysis, if we manage to build models, then we could probably also estimate what happens if the tsunami reaches Europe. Well, it's rather unlikely, but there are much more likely cases that can happen. How stress resistant, and stress testing is now a very, very modern word, how stress resistant is the European food supply, this web spanning the whole globe and bringing ingredients or commodities or whatever to Europe. I think that would be very, very important. Just a quick reminder what our food safety legislation is about. And it is true. It is true. We have achieved, from a regulatory point of view, in the last 10 years, we have achieved a lot. There is a very complex framework regulating how food shall be produced, how it shall be labeled, God knows what. Food entering circulation shall be safe, very clear. So we need to limit certain noxious chemicals, bacteria, we have to limit that. Very, very clear. We have to make sure that someone is really looking into that. Is it done? But two aspects are unfortunately very often forgotten. One is food shall be freely movable in Europe. And also, even more important, we have to respect international regulations. We must not use food safety for erecting technical barriers to trade. Otherwise, WTO will be after us. And the third extremely important aspect is the consumer shall have the right to make an informed choice. So the information we provide to the consumer shall be truthful. And this truthfulness of information is in many cases, so to speak, the nucleus for fraud. If you don't tell what's in, yeah, well, then you cheat. And this is what we don't want. For this reason, we need to have measurements at hand. And we measure per day millions of substances around the globe. But if we do not trust in the data we produce, the decisions we take on the basis of those measurements will be simply flawed, incorrect. So we need to build up this trust. And we do have a system in place that helps building up this trust, for example, those European reference laboratories. And in many cases, standards help us to build up this trust. And, well, it is fantastic if we produce many confirmatory methods and screening methods and God knows what. And it's difficult for the end user to select out of this plethora of methods that are mentioned in literature. What shall I use? Which one shall I take for my daily decision making? Standards can be very helpful there because they are accepted. If you use them, you know you have market access if you comply, of course. So translating, and we try in the organization as much as we can, translating science into standards and vice versa. Also the uptake of standards into science. That's very, very, very close to our heart. But scares happen. Crises happen. What we then need to have access to is search capacity. Then we are flooded with hundreds of samples. And we need to be able to react quickly, take or draw the right conclusions from the testing results. We need to have access to high throughput machinery, to high throughput platforms, producing robust, reliable data. And that's not always that easy. We know that from our daily life, from our practical laboratory life in Gale, if you wish to produce highly accurate, highly reliable data, this takes time. It's not this quick fix solution, unfortunately. So, if there is development, highly welcome. I said that labeling and providing the information to the consumer is extremely important. It has proven roles. But it can be confusing. May contain traces of peanut, nut, and wheat. Now, if you are this allergic person, what do you do with this may contain? Huh? And we know, if you go to the supermarket and if you check the labels, many of the foodstuffs, the pre-packaged foodstuffs, have something like may contain. Your quality of life as an allergic will be pretty limited. Yes, there is big advance in the developments of fantastic technology that can be summarized under omics. All of this omics can be used to the best advantage of the food industry and of providing safe food to consumers. One thought, one of the oldest omics technologies is quite often forgotten, which is economics, because we have to pay for that. So again, I'm really seeing eye to eye with Alistair. Yes, we can drive down sensitivity to nearly looking for the atom. But what do we make out of that? And how do we bring that into context that someone has to settle the bill for that? So that probably has also to be taken into consideration. And whatever we produce, whatever innovation we produce, in Europe, it's a matter of fact, we have to deal with it. The public at large has a certain aversion towards technology. And so we will always be at crossroads. Innovation and how to regulate this so that innovation can have quick access to markets. Still keeping up our principles of being very, very cautious. Sometimes it takes a very long time, and in many cases, for getting regulatory pre-market approval, you need to have very, very deep pockets. And those are conflicts, and how to manage best those conflicts is certainly something that needs to be tackled in future. Just to inform you, in Commission, we also have a liking for forward looks or for futures or whatever you call them. Just to inform you that my organization is currently carrying out a foresight study that is more focused on diets and foods, not so much on safety, where in principle the consumer is centerpiece of the studies. And Sanko has started, it was just last week that the first workshop was held, a foresight study delivering on EU food safety and nutrition in 2050, but with a very, very clear look to regulatory aspects. And with that, I thank you very much for your kind attention. And once again, thank you very much for inviting me, giving me the opportunity, and congratulations to the excellent document. Thank you.